Okay, so my name is Tim O'Leary. I'm 65 years of age and I'm a dairy farmer in Ireland. I have two sons dairy farming now as well, so I'm heading for retirement.
Exciting stuff. Exciting stuff. So, what would you say your primary role in the food system is then?
Oh, we're primary producers, right? So we produce on this farm. Our primary product is milk, and our secondary product is beef. Most of our income comes from milk, and we sell our surplus stock and our cull stock to other farmers for onward finishing.
Thank you. And then, how educated would you say that you are about your country's food system?
Um, Formally, I have a diploma in specialty food production. Informally, I have been an activist in the Irish Farmers Association for the last 40 years, I suppose, yeah. And we've been very involved in how the system works, how the system is regulated, how we encourage the system to grow, and how we protect the farmer members from overzealous regulation and from overzealous special interest lobby groups. The best way to describe them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. And then, how do you perceive the food system in your country?
So we are an unusual food system in that we are very much export orientated. In the dairy industry, for example, we produce enough dairy food for about 45 million people. We only have 5, so over 95 million, so over 90% of our food is exported. And that leads to different production systems. So our production system is seasonal in dairying. We produce the bulk of our milk during the summer growing season and very little during the winter. We don't need to because we don't have a big demand for fresh product all year round. But we do need to produce products with a longer shelf life. That's why we specialize in hard cheeses like cheddar, in butter, in dry products like milk powders, and you won't see us exporting anything like yogurt or fresh milk or cream or stuff like that because they're too expensive to transport. You need the high dry matter content to make it worthwhile. And we have a very dedicated organization to develop markets worldwide. We sell into about 95 different countries, I think, with our dairy products. And it's an ongoing process to keep the business vibrant. So we need a lot of young people, and we have a program to bring young people into the industry at all time, at all levels. Yeah.
That's awesome. It sounds like there's great things going on and great things for the future as well. Just a couple more questions. Where do you get your food from?
So, which food?
The food that you eat in your house. So grocery, homegrown.
Okay. So we drink our own milk. If I produce milk and expect other people to drink it, I think the least I could do is have confidence to drink my own milk. So we do. We buy everything else practically in our local supermarket. Most of it is Irish, but we will buy imported foods for variety and for flavour when they're not available locally. But we have a preference for local food production. We have I think we're the second most food secure country in the world because we grow so much ourselves. We're always going to have enough of the basics. And in the European Union, then we have a single market where we can, we get tomatoes from Italy and Spain. We get vegetables from all over Europe, lots of wine, lots of beer. We have a very good beer, native beer and whiskey industry as well. Very, very profitable whiskey industry now, producing Jameson, which is probably one of the leading whiskies in the world at this stage, So yeah, so we're very food secure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that kind of leads into my last question is, are there organizations or program in your area or your country that help with food security?
Probably not with food security, but certainly with food promotion. So we would have an organization called Board Bia, which is the Gaelic for the food board, and they're about standards and traceability. So we would all be signed up to board to this organization who would we would do an annual audit of our production systems to make sure that we are up to standard. Okay. And then we'd have other organizations, a lot of them would be voluntary, so we'd have breed societies and stuff like that that promote different breeds and would organize a premium price. For example, Angus beef has a very high premium price in Ireland to the farmer for producing Angus beef to a certain standard or a specific standard. We do the same for Hereford. What we'd call those would be the traditional breeds, as opposed to, we'll say, the continental breeds like Charolais and Limousin and stuff that would have come in the last 50 years, whereas the others would have been around for a long time. So what was the question, the original part of the question again?
It was if there's any programs or organizations that help with food security.
Food security, yeah. We don't really have an issue with food security. We do have a problem with poverty now, with poor people. We have some poor people who would need support to access adequate food. You know, but I suppose that's probably different to food security.
I mean, that kind of could go hand in hand if they're in that poverty range.
Yeah.
Maybe they can't afford to get that quality food.
Yeah. So then so the government does a nice bit on that, and so we would have had a system in place supported by the co-ops in the European Union where we get school milk. So every child in primary school got a bottle of milk every day in school, which was probably nutritious, but also got them drinking nice milk. And then we now have school meals programs in a lot of schools in, we'll say, disadvantaged areas where there's a bit of poverty, and stuff. And that now is going to be spread to all schools, because there's a realization that poverty is everywhere at some level rather than in specific areas. So it's a system that's growing, so that every school going child will be getting a hot meal in Ireland. Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
Is that
yes, that's perfect.
okay?
Thank you so much.